Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jess from BehatiLife. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are talking about synastry charts. What are they? Why are they so important? And what is the difference between a synastry chart and a composite chart, and why you'd want to get either one or both? So what a synastry chart is two charts of two separate people that are combined together to show the relationship that happens when two people come together. Now, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It can be a business partnership or a friendship. But basically what it does is it takes those two individuals' natal charts and matches them, puts them side by side or right on top of each other so that you can see how their planets, their personal planets and their outer planets, how they affect and influence each other in order to help to explain the relationship, the strengths of the relationship, and the weaknesses of the relationship. A composite chart is the same natal charts of two separate people that are sandwiched together in order to show what the relationship then creates. So it doesn't show the relationship dynamic between the two, but it shows what the two people create together. And it's almost like this energy, this force. What type of force or energy is it that we're working with? Is it something that is constructive and positive? Does it have a lot of high energy? Is it something more chill and more mellowed out? Is it something that's an initiator, a change agent? Is it more nurturing and comforting? Is it designed to create change and shift in the external world? Is it designed to create change and shift within themselves? The composite chart will show all of that. So most people don't realize that when they're looking for a relationship perspective when they're looking for a perspective, an explanation of the relationship from an astrological perspective, what it is that they're looking for is actually a synastry chart. So a synastry chart doesn't merge the two charts together in order to create something. What it does is it shows that this is who this person is, person A, and this is who this person is, person B, and when you take these two together, this is how they affect each other and influence each other. This is what their communication looks like. This is why they were brought together, whether it be karma, whether it be lessons that need to happen, whether it be a desire to heal certain past wounds, whatever the case may be. You can see all of that within the chart. You can see how people sexually express themselves. You can see if the relationship has long-term potential or if it's something that will end spontaneously after a random fight, something that they don't expect or see coming overnight. You can see if some people are more destined to become engaged or married or to live long-term together in bliss, or to have conflict and tension. You can see how people communicate, how the different types of communication for each partner, because everybody is different in how they express themselves and how they communicate, how they work together, how they communicate to each other, how they love, how they are emotionally fulfilling towards each other, if they do fulfill each other's emotional needs, if they fill each other's physical needs. All of those things can be seen and looked at within the synastry chart. Now, it's really important for me to say here that there's not a perfect synastry chart. There's never a chart that is just completely perfect and promises a long-lasting relationship or the demise of a relationship. But there are certain things to look out for. There are certain things that help to smooth out the dynamic of a relationship and to help it to become longer lasting. For long lasting connections or long lasting relationships, what you want to look for mostly is aspects to Pluto, but mostly Saturn. Saturn is the planet of commitment and responsibility, and it allows two people to stay connected and committed to each other. However, sometimes, one person is, the way that their planets are aspecting another person's can mean that they want to commit, but that person doesn't feel it in return. All of these things can be seen within the synastry chart, and you can work to prepare and to plan for them. Now, I get this question a lot about if there's planets that a lot of aspects within the synastry chart that are trined or square each other. A trine means that the energy of those planets move really easy and effortlessly together, and it's looked at to be a good thing. And a square is where there is tension and conflict between the energy of the planets, and they fight to work together. And sometimes it's seen as a bad thing, but if you know me, and if you've been following my channel, and if you watch me on Instagram, you know that I personally don't think that there is such thing as a good or a bad thing. Energy is just energy. There's there's squares that can come in and create good things, even though the energy is conflicting or there's tension, and there's trines that can create that even though it looks good on the outside, it can create a problem within the relationship. You have to look at both parties' charts separately, their natal charts, and then look at them as they come together within the synastry chart in order to look at the whole picture. A beginner astrologer doesn't normally think to do that. They just go on the internet and say like, okay, well, this is a positive aspect, so the relationship should be good, and this promises that things are going to be lasting and forever, and you're happily ever after, especially with some like pretty aspects within the chart that people talk about all the time. But if you have all these pretty aspects and there's nothing to ground it and to cement it, then sometimes the relationship is doomed and it struggles to survive. So like I said before, there's no such thing as a perfect chart. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. I'm sure you know that. Everyone is so different. And also, if you look at the natal chart and you compare each person's individual natal charts to the aspects that they create when they come together, then you can see how it positively affects them, and if the relationship feels good or if it feels bad, and who is more apt to benefit from the relationship, who's more apt to struggle, and what the dynamic is. And using that information, you can then decide if you want to continue on with the relationship, if you want to make some changes and switch things up, because now you know the strengths and the weaknesses of the relationship. So you can see, okay, well, I realize that when so-and-so is, when I attack, when something is bothering me, my first reaction, this is just an example, my first reaction is to attack him and to say, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? And then he emotionally shuts down. Well, why is that? Because of when Jess did my chart and when she showed me in the synastry chart, now I realize that in order for me to get a better reaction from my partner, then the best way for me to approach him and to get what I want out of him in a way that is positive is to approach him in such a manner in order to support and to encourage a positive outcome. So basically what a synastry chart does is it shows the relationship between the people and how they work together, and it also gives you tools to work with the challenges and tools to work with the positives, the strengths, in order to build a relationship if you guys do decide to stay together. That being said, not all relationships are destined to stay together forever. So those things can be predicted within the synastry chart, of course, and I always recommend that if a relationship is set in your life to create a lesson, then allow it to be a lesson, and when it's time for you to let go of it. Don't hold on to it. You should see how different everyone, the different energy changes when a person is with a certain person that brings out their best. And you could always see that energy and that chemistry change in the synastry chart. For all of these charts that these types of charts that I'm talking about, you can see them in the links below. All of them are available on my website at BehatiLife.com, but I'll keep all the links down in the description box. If you have any questions about synastry charts, or if you have any additional things that you want me to talk about when it comes to relationship readings and relationship in regards to astrology, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.